The Crown Tundra. It almost feels like it was years ago since we had it released, but only last year in 2020 was it actually released, and it gives us a look at what I think we can expect for Pokemon Legends Arceus. Now, you might be a tad confused, but I'll explain to you exactly what is going on. So Pokemon Legends Arceus, as you already know, is a much different game than any previous entry we've had in Pokemon. The game will clearly be lacking features like gyms and Elite Four, and overall be a very different style of video game with a different goal for you as a player and as a character in the world to actually achieve. The goal most likely being the creation of the first Pokédex, and with the goal of exploration and capturing of Pokemon in unique environments being the larger goal here. And I personally think that the best way to see the game is by looking at what came before it, because there is one particular game, or rather a specific DLC, I should say, that most definitely gives us the best insight into what this game most likely will feel like. So the Crown Tundra. You might be wondering, what am I talking about and what do I mean by bringing up this random DLC from Pokemon Sword and Shield games? What does it matter? Well, it has to do with the fact that I am predicting that the Crown Tundra was created as a way to actually test out what Pokemon Legends Arceus would be like, and I explain this a tad further, but here's what I see. Now, the Crown Tundra, when released and when played, offered a much different experience than any other Pokemon game has ever done, and this was by giving us, the players, the full freedom to explore and take on whatever challenge, journey, or little adventure on the tiny island in whatever order we wanted to. This was amazing, and the reason I love the Crown Tundra, it let us go and catch these legendary Pokemon and explore this place with these unique little side quests, little Easter eggs, and loads of just tiny little things to do, as well as large things to do, like, catching the legendaries and learning the mysteries behind them, doing the puzzles. That was what made it so awesome. But what it did lack, though, compared to its counterpart DLC, the Isle of Armor, it's some form of a challenge run, right? Or like a challenge area, or some form of thing that you need to go through. And what I mean by this in terms of challenges is kind of a form of a goal to strive for, like gym leaders, right? And Elite Four. There was no challenge like that. In the Crown Tundra, the goal is, by most means, right, to just explore. Whereas in the Isle of Armor, the goal is to do the Cubfu quests to then be able to evolve your Cubfu and take on the tower and whatnot. But somehow that process was so much more boring and linear compared to the journey I had in the Crown Tundra, where I got to roam around and freely explore things. And added to that, the catching the legendary Pokemon, not just by simply encountering them, but by doing small puzzles or finding out specific locations for them, or doing little side missions or Easter eggs to get your hands on them, or even learning about them in myths and stuff. That's what made it so much fun. And of course, the biggest thing, the freedom. See, the freedom in the Crown Tundra was what made it so great. You weren't forced to do the story segments in any particular order. You were just let loose after the intro, and you could go exploring to your heart's content. And that is exactly what I believe the Legends Arceus game will aim to do as well. So you see, Legends Arceus is going to be an open world game, and I believe that the first 30 or so minutes of the game will be somewhat linear by introducing you to the starting area and the characters and the world a tiny bit, as well as getting you started. But after that, I think you'll be let loose into this world and the Sinnoh region to explore it on your own to your heart's content, uncovering the myths of mythical and legendary Pokemon, encountering dangerously strong Pokemon in the wild, exploring around, maybe even setting up little camps and stuff. Basically, you'll be led into the world to ride, fly, and explore on different Pokemon with different Pokemon to create the first Pokédex. And by doing this, you will experience a similar journey that you did in Crown Tundra, but on a much larger scale. And that is why I think that the Crown Tundra itself was just used as a testing ground, a way for them to try out the formula in a much smaller scale to gauge the response from fans, but also to test it out from a gameplay level and technical level. Because you see, they want to know if fans are happy with a game that only contains the goal of completing and creating a Pokédex, exploring and catching and uncovering myths and legends. Basically, they want to try and see what fans think, and now they really know that, right? They can confidently trust in the fact that the Crown Tundra was a good test, and that Legends Arceus will have a fan base and large interest. The second was the technical side of things. You see, Pokemon games, if they were to be a standard journey that we're used to, with gyms and all that, wouldn't work as easily in an open world game with freedom and then full exploration and all that, as Pokemon was fundamentally made with that not being a part of the gameplay structure. The games were fundamentally restricted intentionally to make the game seem larger. Now, the games have always been linear, and the only way to experience any difference in gameplay was by catching Pokemon. And this is why we've, over the years, kept seeing them add more and more Pokemon to the games over time, as was the only big thing they could do and change and add to make sure that there was variation existing in these games, so they wouldn't be super linear all the time and feel like you weren't actually playing a different game. The only thing that they could do differently is make a different region and add brand new Pokemon, but the journey itself always had to be restricted in how much freedom you really had. But if you tried to make the changes to the fundamental gameplay, it was much harder. So they only made minor changes, and we can actually see this. This is actually very obvious in Pokemon. Like in Alola for Sun and Moon, they added in the trial captains and, the Kahunas and stuff, and removed the gym leaders and the general, style Elite Four. They changed around a bit, but that wasn't a major change because it still felt somewhat the same. Also, they removed HMs and instead added in, these Pokemon you can use for things like that, right? And things such as those, right? And also the HMs in the past, the only reason they even existed was because they had to create obstacles for you that, were there, but also implemented those obstacles to work well with the Pokemon you used as a way to make obstacles so that you couldn't get to certain places before you were meant to get there, right? They artificially stopped you from going there, right? That's why there was always this feeling of like not having full freedom. But those were, again, what I mentioned. The removal of these things and changes were really just small changes and really just like replacing something with something slightly different, but really just the same. But those were just tests though. They couldn't make large-scale changes as it just didn't work with the Pokemon formula, and by the time they realized this, of course, the Pokédex was almost at 1,000, and the amount of abilities, moves, and characters, and just pure content and files that need to exist in each game, and the amount of data, or data if you want to call it that way, it's just too much, and it would just be impossible for them, from a logistical side of things, to actually get these games to work. So then the question is, what was the best solution? Well, make a game that reuses past Pokemon areas, aka the Sinnoh region, with Sinnoh Pokemon, set in the past so that we can remove certain gameplay aspects such as the gyms and Elite Four, and set in the past so that large-scale cities and places like Jubilee City don't actually exist yet. They made this choice actively and consciously as it would allow them to make Pokemon Legends Arceus a different sort of game, a game that allows them to test out these things they are trying to figure out with the Crown Tundra, but in a fully fledged AAA full Pokemon video game rather than just a DLC of another Pokemon game. The Crown Tundra was the testing ground, and now Legends Arceus is them making a whole game out of it. And what you will notice with what the Crown Tundra and Legends Arceus have in common in those specific things is quite a lot of things. They both don't have some form of a league that you need to take on. Like in the Crown Tundra, there was no sort of gym challenge type of deal added. The Crown Tundra, just like Legends Arceus, focused on past Pokemon, uncovering their myths and history, and then of course doing little puzzles, and I think that's going to be the same case for Legends Arceus to actually catch them. And the Crown Tundra was also fully open and allowed you to explore around freely, just like Legends Arceus will let you to do. Just go out there in the world, explore, see what you can find, and have fun. And this kind of leads me to the general conclusion here. My point is pretty much this. The Crown Tundra was a genuinely fantastic Pokemon DLC, and my favorite part of Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield, and the most fun I've had in any Pokemon game in multiple years. And I'm certain that it was the testing ground, the starting phase, just a way for them to try out what Pokemon Legends Arceus should look like. And if this is the case, and I was correct, then I am beyond excited for Pokemon Legends Arceus, as I believe that it will offer me, as a Pokemon player, exactly what I personally always wanted from a Pokemon game. A free Pokemon world that I can explore, with mysteries and hidden little secrets in the depths, as well as the freedom of exploration and inclusion of, just random things to do and interesting Pokemon interactions and Pokemon in the world kind of walking around, dealing with their own little lives, and of course also the ability to ride on Pokemon, fly on Pokemon, and just generally exploring with Pokemon in a free world. That's something I've always wanted, and of course these games will not appeal to everyone. There are Pokemon fans that want to specifically have that standard journey with the limits and stuff. Somebody maybe wants that. Others maybe do want exactly what I want, but they want to have gyms there, they want to have Elite Four there. Well, guess what? This game is not going to appeal to everyone. It's going to be a very, divisive game. It's going to be a very, strange game because it's not going to appeal to everyone, but it's going to be trying out a bunch of new things. And I also do think that Pokemon as a franchise is in a crossroad right now, and it really is interesting to see that, because they are changing the fundamentals of how they do things, even their promotional way of doing things with the lack of news in recent times. It's because they are trying out doing things differently, and I do think that's a good thing. Innovation is always good, and I think they should be innovating, letting younger developers, newer people work, and trying new ideas and new things out, because otherwise the franchise will get more stale and stale and stale, which it already has. And I think this is a good chance for them to do this. And also, I think Legends Arceus might be another test potentially for the next generation of Pokemon, being Pokemon Generation 9. And that's another game I want to talk about, another thing I want to talk about. Where is Generation 9? Should we expect it in 2023, 2022? What's the deal with that game? If you guys want to see a video on that, let me know in the comment section down below. Let's maybe try to get this video to 1,000 likes for that video to happen. Do you want to see what is Pokemon Generation 9 going to be like? Let me know in the comment section down below, and maybe the video will also be about like when we can expect it to be released. But if you want to see that video, let me know in the comment section, leave a like, let's get to 1,000, and that's it for today. Have a good day, and bye bye.